True story. God's own country, Kerala in India. There exists a unique style of architecture that has stood the test of time. The traditional style of houses called nalukettu is a rectangular structure made with wood and linked by an open courtyard. These nalukettu houses are largely single-storeyed and serve as a symbol of the rich culture heritage of Kerala. But nalukettu houses are not only the only structures that showcase Kerala's unique architecture. There are also over 1,000 timber temples in Kerala that serve the region's 70% Hindu population. These temples are not just beautiful to look at, but they also have an interesting story behind them. There was a renowned wood craftsman who was famous for building temples using the traditional nalukettu style. His temples were sturdy and lasted for centuries without any cracks and breaks. Later on, his son, who was highly educated and had learned the craft from his father, continued the traditional business of building temples with wood. However, to his surprise, the wood he used started to crack and break in a short period of time. He couldn't figure it out what was causing this problem, so he turned to his father for help. His father asked him if he has followed all the rituals and rules that he had taught him before cutting the woods, and the son replied that he had tested the trees for its suitability and modern technology and cut it accordingly. Then his father asked him to take him the next time when he went to choose a tree for building the main deity idol. The son agreed and took his father with him the next time he needed wood. He chose a number of trees and tested them with the latest scientific instruments to determine the best one and to cut. However, his father stopped him and asked if he had done the necessary rituals before cutting the tree. The son was confused and replied they had all the latest instrument to test the strength, age and moisture content of the wood. Why to follow old superstitious beliefs? But his father insisted that he too observe him. His father went to the chosen tree, did a puja, embraced the trunk of the tree with his bare hands by touching its bark, and kissed the trunk while whispering some words. He then returned to his son and asked him to continue with the cutting process. After his father had performed the rituals and they were on their way back, the son couldn't resist his curiosity any longer. He asked his father what he had whispered to the tree during the ritual. The father smiled and said, "I whisper my gratitude to the tree for giving us its wood. I thank it for the shade it provided to us and the animals. The oxygen is produced for us to be breathed and for being a part of nature's cycle of life and death. I ask for its forgiveness for taking its life and promise to use it wood wisely and respectfully." The son was moved by his father's words and realized that it was not just the superstitious beliefs but had a deeper meaning that made their temple strong, but also the love and respect they had for nature. He promised to carry on his father's legacy and pass on this knowledge to the next generation. And so on, the son continued to build temples with same respect and gratitude for nature that his father had taught him. His temples became even more revered, not just for their beauty and strength, but also for the wisdom that went into their creation. The story of the temple wood craftsman and his son continued to be told for generations to come, inspiring others to respect and cherish the natural world around them. The same way our body The golden hour bond. The first hour after birth is known as the golden hour, during which a strong bond is formed between the mother and the newborn baby. This bonding experience is crucial for the emotional well-being of both the parent and child, and research has shown that the child's ability to balance emotions later in life is dependent on this early relationship. Skin and its functions. The skin is the largest organ in the body, made up of 100 trillion cells. It plays several important functions, including protection from outside pathogens, regulating body temperature, maintaining water and electrolyte balance, sensing painful and pleasant stimuli, and participating in vitamin D synthesis. Skin and bonding experience. The skin plays a vital role in the bonding experience between a mother and her newborn baby. The skin is covered in tiny receptors called Merkel cells, responsible for detecting light touch and transmitting signals to the brain. Research has shown that the skin can communicate emotions like fear, disgust, and joy through a process called emotional contagion. The skin contains nerve endings called C fibers, which can transmit emotional information to the brain through the release of neuropeptides. Mysterious unanswered questions related to sensory perception. Imagine this: your mother or father place her hand on your shoulder and you feel a sense of warmth and comfort spread through your body. You know that this touch is one of unconditional love and protection. Now picture your significant person, opposite sex, placing hand on the same shoulder area, and suddenly your heart starts racing. You feel a rush of electricity run through your veins and your mind is flooded with thoughts of passion and desire. It's incredible how two seemingly identical physical sensations can elicit such different emotional responses. The touch of a mother's father hand can make you feel safe and secure, while the touch of lover's hand can make your heart skip a beat. It's a reminder that the human experience is not just about physical, but also the emotional and psychological. Our experiences are shaped by the meanings we attach to them, and in the case of touch, those meanings can vary widely depending on the relationship and the context. The role of sensory perception in sleep. While the skin is not typically thought of as a primary sense organ involved in sleep, recent research has suggested that tactile sensations may play an important role in sleep regulation. For example, some studies have found that gentle stroking of the skin can increase levels of hormone oxytocin, which may promote relaxation and sleep. The potential for using sensory perception in education. Researchers are exploring the potential for using tactile feedback and other sensory clues in educational settings to enhance learning and retention. For example, tactile feedback may be used to help students learn complex concepts in science or mathematics, or to help students with visual impairments access information in new ways. The impact of sensory perceptions on mental health. Recent research has suggested that alterations in sensory perception may play a role in the development and maintenance of certain mental health conditions such as anxiety and depression. For example, change in the perception of touch or temperature may contribute to feelings of physical discomfort or pain, while in turn may contribute to negative emotional states. Researchers are working to better understand the relationship between sensory perception and mental health and to develop interventions to improve mental health and outcomes. The potential for using sensory perception in sports and athletic training. Researchers are exploring the potential for using sensory feedback such as haptic feedback, and temperature regulation to enhance athletic performance and training. For example, sensors that can detect changes in skin temperature and moisture levels may be used to optimize training regimes, while haptic feedback may be used to help athletes improve their technique and form. So, separate dresses are being stitched with these sensors and developing and observing how to develop the athlete performance. The impact of sensory perceptions on social cultural norms. The way we perceive and respond to tactile cues can be influenced by social and cultural norms. For example, different cultures may have different norms around physical touch and the appropriate use of tactile clues in social interactions. Researchers are working to better understand the ways in which social and cultural factors may influence sensory perception and to develop interventions to promote positive social cultural interactions. The role of sensory perception in body image and self esteem. While the skin is often thought of as a purely physical organ, it also plays an important role in our sense of self and body image. Some studies have suggested that alteration in sensory perception, such as change in perception of touch or temperature, may contribute to negative body image and low self esteem. Researchers are working to better understand the relation between sensory perception and body image and to develop intervention to improve body image and self esteem. The potential for using sensory perception in virtual reality environments. VR is becoming an increasingly popular technology for gaming, entertainment, and other applications. Researchers are exploring the potential for using sensory feedback such as haptic feedback and the temperature regulation to enhance the immersive experience of VR environments. This includes developing technologies that can stimulate a wide range of tactile sensations, from the texture of different materials to the sensation of being touched or hugged by another person. The impact of sensory perception, decision making, and risk taking. Recent research has suggested that sensory perception may play a role in decision making and risk taking behavior. For example, studies have found that people who are more sensitive to sensory clues may be more likely to take risk in certain situations, while those who are less sensitive may be more cautious. Researchers are working to better understand the neural and physiological mechanisms behind these relationships and to develop interventions to improve decision making and risk taking behavior. The potential for using sensory perception in medical diagnosis and treatment. Recent advances in sensory technologies such as wearable sensors and non-invasive imaging techniques are opening up new possibilities for using sensory perceptions in medical diagnosis and treatment. For example, the sensors that can detect changes in skin temperature and moisture levels may be used to diagnose certain skin conditions, while haptic feedback may be used to help patients recover from injuries or surgeries. Researchers are working to develop and test the technologies to improve medical care and outcomes. The impact of aging on sensory perception. As we age, our skin and sensory systems undergo a number of changes that can affect our ability to perceive touch and other tactile sensations. For example, the skin becomes thinner and less sensitive, and the number of sensory receptors in the skin may decrease. Researchers are working to better understand the mechanism behind these changes and to develop strategies for maintaining healthy sensor functions as we age. Multisensory integration, sensory substitution. The brain integrates information from multiple sensory modalities to create a coherent perception of the world around us. Sensory technologies can be used to substitute for lost or damaged sensory modalities.